So we'll learn about GlideRecord today. So before learning GlideRecord, I'll tell you the importance of users and groups, and then we'll know how we can use those in order to add roles to that particular groups or roles to the any user. Okay. So for example, let's take any user. For example, we have able tutor. So now we are in user table, which is this user table, and we have few other tables which are linked to it, which we can see in related list. Okay. So in this related list, we have roles, groups. Okay. So here, if you add any of the roles, for example, let me add ideal role. Okay. Add ideal role. Like it added ITL role along with ITL role. It added all the sub roles which will be coming under ITL role. Like all these other roles which are coming as part of ITL role. So if you see here, inherited true is there for all other except for ITL role. That means inherited true means those came from some other role. Like as part of ITL role, all these roles are sub roles. Okay. That's why for all other roles, there is inherited true. Okay. In any of the role, inherited true means came as part of other role. Okay. So I have just added ITL role, but all other roles are sub roles. So all other roles also came for able tutor user. Okay. So if I right click and open this, I can see the mapping between this particular user table and the roles table. Okay. So I have opened this particular these all records in new tab in order to see what is the mapping between this particular user and this particular role. Okay. If I open, so here it has opened in this user has role table and we are in user table. So there is a link between the user and the role. Okay. So if I open any record, if I open any record, I can see there is a user and role and what is the state of it. Okay. So here we are just creating the relationship between the user and role and adding it to this particular like whenever we click on edit and if we add any new records like any new entries into, like for example we want to give some other role like asset role I want to give, so it will create, for example as of now we have how many entries here, we have 30 entries, right? So if I add asset, it will add few more entries into this particular record. Let's see how it goes. Okay. So I have added asset role. Okay. So if I add asset role, all these other roles are getting added automatically because all these are sub roles of those. Okay. So if you give asset role, few other roles are also came. So before adding it, there were 30 roles, but now it became 37 roles. So all these new entries created in this particular table and we are showing under this particular user record. Okay. So now it became 37. So it is creating new records. Okay. How like generally it is creating new records for each of the user. So we are adding for able tutor. So for able tutor, it is adding few roles. Okay. So generally these roles will be in different table and these users will be in different table. If I just open this able tutor, this will be in user table, which is this user. And if I open this role, it will be in different table, which is this user role. The mapping between these two is in this user has role. Okay, where we will be having user and role. Based on that itself, like Servicenow will know whether user has this particular role or not. Okay. So roles will be independent and users will be independent. So we are here creating the mapping between user and role whenever we add any new role to any other user. Okay. So is everyone clear how this is working? Okay. So similarly, we have groups as well. Okay. So whenever we give any group to any user, okay, for example, we want to add this particular user to any other group. For example, app engine admins. In app engine admins, I want to add the users. Okay, what happens if I click on app admin? So here it is adding few roles, adding role SN app engine notify dot app, SN app creator. So all these, why this is getting added means whenever we add any user to any group, so a group has few roles. Okay, this particular group has this role and this role has some sub roles. So whenever I add any user to any of the group, all the roles in that particular group will also be getting for that particular user. So able tutor will be by default getting what are the roles this particular group holds. Okay. So generally we will be using groups for in order to give the access to any of the users, or whenever we want to working on any tickets in order to work on particular kind of category or subcategory or particular type of records, we'll be using these particular groups. Okay. So for example, we have something like we have some agents who will be working on incidents, asset management, and CMDB. So for all those, I do not need to create, like I do not need to give the roles again and again. Okay. For example, we have, like I want to give asset role and ITL role for few of the users. Like there are, like for example, let me create one group. Okay. So how will be creating the group? So group name I have given agents. Group can have manager and parent as well, but as of now I'm leaving empty. So generally, in order to give roles, we can go to each of the user and give roles. So if I have to give the role to the each of the user, it will be hectic job. So what I'll do, I'll create a group which will have few roles. Okay. For example, these agents will be having ITL role and ITL admin. And apart from it, they will be having agent admin and agent workspace user as well. Okay. So instead of adding all the users, all these, like whatever the users I want to give the access, these instead of giving roles to them, what I'll do, I'll create a group. So I have created a group and I'm adding those users to whom I want to give the access. I'll add all these users to this particular group. Okay. I can add n number of users at single time here itself. Like, for example, these users I want to give those access. So all these users will be getting the access of whatever this particular group has these roles. Okay. So all these users got this access. Okay. So we can use groups in order to give accesses. Okay. So we have more than one roles or more than one like, so it will be very easy in order to give access via group instead of giving each individual user with few roles. Okay. So let's say, so that, like, I wanted to tell you about the link between how it is. So if you see here, group has members, right? So here this user is different table and this group is different table. How it is assigning this particular user a group is, it has the mapping between user and group, where this particular table holds this user GR member. This particular table holds the relationship between group and the user. Okay. Similarly, this roles groups table is also different, where group has role, table will hold which group has which all the roles. Okay. So that is the mapping. So every time when we click on edit and if we give the group, it will automatically create a new entry in this particular group role table. Okay. So that's the introduction about the users and groups. So now I'll be going to tell you about GlideRecord. Okay. So let's go to incident. So here we have few incidents. So for example, I want to get all the active incidents. So active true means, so generally in incidents or problems or chains, we have active field. So whenever we are writing any query or whenever we are fetching something, we will be working on the active records. Active record means which are in work in progress, whether it state can be new or in progress or resolved, it will be active true. If it is closed or cancelled, then only active it will be false. Okay. So generally we will be working with these records only. We won't work with closed or cancelled records. So it will be considering as active true records. Okay, active records. So what I want to do, I want to get all the incidents with some particular user. For example, Joe employee is the user. I want to get all the incidents with this particular user who is the caller. Caller means who raised this particular incident. Okay. I want all the incidents, all the incident numbers which are in active. So this particular Joe employee user has raised these many incidents. Okay, he has raised 7 incidents which are in active. We don't know how many there are in active false. Generally, we don't consider active false because we want only current records. Okay, so like which are not resolved or not closed or not cancelled. So here we can see we have 7 records. So here from list view, we got all these records. We can see the incident numbers. We can see the short description. But the same thing if you want to do with the code in the server side script using GlideRecord, how we can do it. So let's see. So it has few parameters which we can see. First thing is table, which we can see here. So generally, if it is opened in the list view, it will be appended with _ list. Okay. So this is the URL by looking at the URL as well, you should be able to understand what is this particular table is and what are all the parameters it's added. Okay, and here if you see it, the query it's adding is active equals to true. Okay, so let me copy this query. Active equals to true, caller is some sysid is there. Okay, so now this particular URL has been encoded. Okay, it has been URL encoded. Let me just decode URL. So if I decode it, okay, so it has been decoded. So initially if you see it, active percentile 3D true, and so if you see percentile 5 caller ID percentile 3D, if I click on decode, it will be changing this to active equals to true and caller ID equals to this. So the URL, if we give equal to and this special characters, it won't be able to understand. So that's why it stores with percentile 3D, percentile 5 like that. Okay. So actual value which will be going to the database is this, which is active equals to true and caller ID is some sysid. So we have got active equals to true, but caller ID is some sysid. Why the caller ID is some sysid is, so this particular caller, which is user, which is in different table. If I click on it, it is getting opened in this particular Joe employee in different table, which is in user table. But in order to link to incident, what we will be linking with, we will be linking with the sysid. So any record we can identify with sysid. So it is getting linked with the sysid. Okay. So as of now, I have Joe employee name, and I want to get those particular users, like those particular incidents with like whose like Joe employee has been opened or which are in active. So as of now, I don't have sysid. Let me check any other way by which I can get all these records. So here, if you see, this is search, right? Search means it is searching in different table itself. Okay, that's why we are storing the sysid and we are checking the records with sysid. So here in the caller, I want to check with the name. So whenever we want to check with the name or any other field of other table, so I want to check with the name of this particular any of the user. Okay, in the caller we will be having name, right? So we won't be getting directly, so we have to type show related fields. I want to show the related fields of this particular user table, so I'll be clicking on show related fields, and then if I click on caller field, I'll be getting user fields, means this particular user table fields I'll be getting. Okay, in this particular user fields, I want to, in the caller user fields, I want to get the name. Okay, so name is Joe employee. I want to give the name. I don't have sysid as of now. I want to give the name. Okay, if I run it, so we can get the query directly if we just click on copy query. So now the query will be active equals to true, and this is and symbol, and caller ID dot name is Joe employee. Okay, so we got what query it is getting passed to the backend. Okay, so we can directly get what query it is getting passed to the backend. So the similar thing we will try to do in with the code. Okay, let me write the code in. We can write in background script, but let me write in fixed script so that it will be looking good. So first, whenever we want to get these records with the code, we have to glide the table first. Glide means nothing but we will be gliding any record whenever we want to get some records or update some records or delete records. So any of the CURD operations, okay. CURD means C means create, R means read. In order to create or read or update or delete, we can use GlideRecord. So I'll be using GlideRecord. So I'm gliding incident. So let me glide incident record. So gliding the incident record means I have used GlideRecord, which is the API which is given by Servicenow. Okay. So whenever if you right click in this, you can directly go to the documentation, read what is GlideRecord and what it is. Okay. So this particular GlideRecord will be returning an object by which we can add the query and pass to the database. Okay. So incident dot, if you keep dot and press control space, you will be getting few functions. Here F means function. Okay. So here I want to add some query. So we can use add query, or there are few functions. As of now, I am adding encoded query. Encoded query means which is like, if you right click here, copy query, if you click on copy query, you will be getting the encoded query. So if you can give the encoded query directly, it will be passing to the database what we want to get. Okay, we want to get active true records and where the caller ID name is Joe employee. So we can, now I have to query that. Okay. So what this function will be doing, runs the query against the table based on the specified filters by add query and add encoded query. Like all the add queries and add encoded queries which are given this particular table, it will be running the query. So in order to run the query, we have to give dot query, and all the records we will be getting few records, right? So we have to loop through those records. So we have to loop through these records. Okay. So each record we will be getting each record by using next. Okay. If there is record, like if any of the, like we don't know how many records the database will give us, we have to go one by one. We have to get each record and we have to go to the next record. So in order to go to the each record and next record, we have to use this next function. Only if the next record present, then it will be returning true. Okay. If it is not present, it will be returning false. Then this while loop will be breaking automatically. Okay. So until and unless we have few records, it will be returning true. If this particular incident don't have this INC object, doesn't have any records, then it will be returning false. Okay. So in this particular INC object, each of the INC object will be getting all the field values. Okay. We'll be getting all the field values of any of the particular record. So we, for example, first we got this particular record. I want to get the number. Okay. So how we can get the number is either, for example, var number inc dot number, incident dot number is a field name, right? We can use dot, or we can use inc dot get value of number. Both will work. We can write like this, or we can write like this. Both are same only. Okay. So the difference between inc dot number and inc dot get value of number is get value will be returning the string always, but the number in inc dot number, it will be returning the object. Okay. So internally, whenever we are displaying, it will be trying to convert it to string. So the best practice is to use inc dot get value of number itself. Okay. So we got this number. So I want to print what is the number I have got. Okay. gs dot info. I want to say number is. So this is the code. Let me copy this code and let's save it. So I want to run it, check what it returns. Actually, here we got so much which are not needed, all those. So I'll just copy it and I'll run it in background script. Okay. So whenever you want to go to background script, you have to type scripts followed by space, that you will be getting background scripts. Okay. And I'll be running it. So I got number is 17, 31, 44, all these I have got. Okay. So, but I got these, but I didn't get in order. Okay, 47 is here. Like if I sort by number, 3 is here, 7 is here, 17 is here. I didn't get by order. You can see I didn't get by some order. I got randomly. I got 17, 31 at 3 at the last. Okay. So whenever, if you want to get it in order, then what you can do, you can use inc dot order by. So order by, which order by you want? You want order by number or order by opened, something like that. Okay, so I want order by number. And if I print it, run it, I got 3, 7, 17, 31, 47, 51. Okay, so that is the function if you want to get anything order by. So if you want in reverse order, that means from top to like if you want from in the reverse order, then you can use order by descending, so that the maximum number will be coming first and the lowest number will be coming down. Okay. So here, if you try to read it again, what we are doing, we are gliding this incident and we are getting the object. And with that particular object, we can add queries or add encoded queries here. And we are giving the order by which order you want. I want order by number. Okay, and we are printing number is particular number. Okay. So I have got number. Similarly, I can get the short description as well. Okay. And I want to get the short description as well. So you have to understand how I am writing this particular like whatever it is in quotes, it won't read, right? So here number is in double quotes, so it will be printing as it is, and the number is here, which is between plus, which we like after double quotes, it is plus. That means we are adding this number to number is, which is dynamic value. And again, I want to have short description, a static value. So it is this slash t means tab space will come, and this short description is, it is also static. So here I want to give short description. Directly I can give inc dot get value of short description, so that it will be getting the short description, or I can create a variable and I can give that. Okay. So I got number is and whatever the number it is and tab space. Then the short description followed by space, the short description of that particular incident. Okay. Like if it is confusing for you, if you can't write like this, then what you can do? You can write like var short description, and then you can here you can copy like you can give that particular variable here inc dot get value of the short description. Okay. Is everyone got this? Hello, any doubts in this? So you have to understand how I am writing or how I am getting the values. If you have any doubts, tell me now. Any doubts in?
అన్న ఇంకో వే చూపిస్తావా? అప్డేట్ రికార్డ్ ఎలా తీసుకోవాలో? అప్డేటెడ్ రికార్డ్, న్యూలీ అప్డేట్ అయిన రికార్డు ఎలా గెట్ చేసుకోవాలో?
Okay, I'll tell you. So the question is, so we want to get recently updated record. Okay, so we have all the records. For example, let's say what is the recently updated record by Joe employee, like where caller is Joe employee, or for example in all the active records I want the recently updated record. Okay, so I have to get updated field here. So whatever you want to do, first try to do it on list view so that it will be easier for you, then you can write the code later. Okay, so we have updated here already. Let me get it at the top. So like if it is going up means it is sort by ascending, going down means it is sort by descending. Okay, so similarly I want to sort this, so it is sorting in descending now. Okay, sorted in descending order. For example, inc 00055 has been updated recently, which is an hour ago. If I go down, here it is 3 months ago. So I want to get this particular incident record, which is updated recently in active. Okay, active records. Okay, so how I can get? I have to glide this particular incident record. Okay, and I have to sort in ascending order by the field of updated. Why? Because we want recently updated record here. Okay, so recently updated means we have to sort this particular incident table in descending order. Okay, the same thing I'll try to write in code. As of now, I want only active records I'm considering. Okay, so I'll remove this particular condition where caller ID is Joe employee, and instead of order by descending number, I will be using updated. Okay, what is the backend name of updated by is updated on it will be. We can even check in the, like if you don't know the backend name of any field, then you can go and check in the XML. So it will be sys updated on. Here it will be updated by means who updated. Updated on is updated on the time. Okay, So I'm sorting by descending, so, I order by descending, and then I want to get the number. So here I have used while loop, and I want to print few things. Okay, if I run this, I am getting so many records here. So first one is INC 00055. So our problem statement is only I want to get the latest record. I don't want all the records here. Okay. So as I don't want all the records, what are the other things we can add here is I I want only one record which is latest, right? So in order to get only one record, we can use inc dot set limit. So set limit one will give only one record. So instead of using while, I can use only if here. So I got only one record now, where number is INC 00055 and the short description is SAP sales app is not accessible. Is everyone got or any doubts here?
Okay.
So instead of using add encoded query, we can use add query as well. But instead of passing the encoded query, we have to pass what is the field name of that and what is the value of it. For example, for the same thing, I'll try to write using add query. So add query, what it expects is it accepts three parameters. So we can even give two parameters as well. So for example, active is true, right? So active is the field name and true is the value. So I want to filter active true record. So I have to give in the first parameter as active and second parameter as true. Whenever you want to write the same thing using add query. Okay. So from add encoded query, I have changed it to add query. Still, the result will be same. Okay.
త్రూ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్స్ ద్వారా ఒక రికార్డ్ ని ఫెచ్ చేస్తాం కదా టేబుల్లో ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది?
Can you come again?
బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ స్క్రిప్ట్ ద్వారా మనం ఒక రికార్డ్ ని అక్కడ ఇన్సర్ట్ చేస్తాం కదా, అంటే అప్డేట్ చేయడం ఒక రికార్డ్ పర్టికులర్ రికార్డ్కి.
Yeah, we can update the record, but as of now, I'm just telling about how to get the record. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just telling about how to read any records using GlideRecord. So in order to update, we can even update, but as of now, I'm just telling how to get the records. Okay. So whenever you want to update any record, what you have to do, like whatever this particular incident object is there, right? So in that, for example, we are getting the INC 005, this particular record I am getting. So in this, after getting this record, I want to change something. For example, I want to change the short description. Okay. So the backend value of this is short underscore description. So whenever I want to update this, what I'll do is I'll be giving inc dot short description equal to I have to set the values to something, right? So it was SAP sales issue something. I want to change it to facing issues with email. So I want to change value to this. So after giving in the left side, you have to give whatever the field name you have to update. Inc dot, in this inc, I want to update this short description. So inc dot short description, and the right side of equal to, I am giving the value. And after that, I have to give inc dot update. So if there is update statement, it will be updating this particular record. And whenever you are running the script from the background script, here, what are all the actions it has been happened, it will be telling us. Okay, so it has updated incident record and all other records as well, which are dependent on incident. So we have updated incident and this particular table and this particular table, but we have updated incident. So let's check it has been changed or not. So the value has been changed. You can see system administrator has modified this value. So it became facing issues with email. Okay. Is everyone got this? How we can get the records and how we can update the records? Considering everyone got this, so let's check a little bit complex scenario. Like for example, I was telling you about user and user who has to add some roles. Okay. For example, we have user able tutor. One second. For example, we have this particular user who is able tutor. I want to add this particular user to one group. Okay. For example, I want to add this particular user to this database group. Okay. So how we can add this particular user to that particular group? Let's see. Okay. So I have this particular user whose the user ID is able tutor. Okay. I have some information. What is the information I have? Problem statement is add user with user ID able tutor to database group. Okay, so this is the problem statement. So I want to add this particular able tutor to database group. Okay, so as we know already, whenever any user we want to add any user to any group, generally we will be clicking on edit and we will be giving that particular group. So after giving that group, it will be creating new entry in this particular table. Okay, so it will be creating new entry. So it is same thing, like we have to click on new here, and here we have to select the user and which group we want to select. Okay, which is same as like this database. So we have to give like this. Okay, where user is referencing to user table and group is referencing to group table. Okay, so first let's try to get the user first and then group. After that we'll try to add this. So as of now I have only the user ID. I don't have the user sysID, but any record, okay, any record, if you try and open it, okay, for example, this is the record. So it will be storing the sysID as a value. For example, user is there, this particular user field is there, it stores the sysID. Okay, and group is there, it stores the sysID. But as of now, let's think that we have only the name. Okay, we have name and user ID, but still we have to add it anyway. So in order to add it, we have to create a new record. Okay, so before creating new record, we have to get the sysID of this particular user and sysID of the group. Okay, so that we can create a new record easily. So in order to get the sysID of this particular user, let's see what are the information we have. So first I want sysID of user. So in order to get the sysID of user, we have the user ID able.tutor. Okay, if I go to this particular user, his backend name of user ID is user.name. Okay, so what I can do, I can glide the user table and get the sysID by giving the user name as able.tutor. Okay, how I can get? I have to glide the user table. Gliding the user table means, let's see. Okay, I have to glide this and I have to give user ID as able.tutor. Okay, user ID is able.tutor. Okay, user ID is able.tutor. Okay, so by giving this, we can get the sysID. Okay, because sysID is the field in this. If you check here, we have the field which is sysID. So first we have to get all that particular form, then we can get the sysID. Okay, so first I want to glide it. User record. Okay, user record, how we can glide using new GlideRecord. And we have to pass the table name. What is the table name of this particular user table? Which is sys_user. Okay, sys_user. And then I have to pass the add query. So what is the add query here? We have user ID. Okay, whose backend name is username. So if I right click and copy, the query which I am getting is, let me comment out this query, where username is able.tutor. Okay, the backend name of user ID is username, and in the second parameter I have to pass the value as able.tutor. Okay, so ideally user ID is unique. So ideally I'll be getting only one record, and so I'll be passing if user record dot next. If I'm able to find that particular record, this will be returning true, and it will be running this if, where I want to store the user sysID in some of the variable. So user sysID, I am creating one variable where I'll be storing this particular. So user sysID, I want to store and I want to use it later. So I'm storing it. So user record dot sysID. If I do user record dot get value of sysID, sys_id, it will be returning me the sysID. Okay, so I got the user sysID now, and I have stored in this particular user sysID variable. Similarly, I have to get the group sysID from group. So similarly, I have to write. Similarly, I have to get the group sysID as well. Okay. Same thing, I'll copy and I'll change it in order to get the group record as well. Okay. For a group, what is the table name? Table name for group is sysuser group. Okay. So I have to pass sysuser group here. And what is the name. So it is name of that particular group we are passing. So backend name is name. So here I have to pass name, and we have database as a name of that particular group. So I have passing database, and wherever it is user record, I have to change it to group record. So I want to store whatever the sysID of this particular group record in the group sysID. Now let's print and check whether we got group sysID and user sysID or not. I got user sysID and group sysID. Okay. Now I want to add this particular group, add this particular user to that particular group. So in order to add that particular user to group, how it is working, it is creating a new record where it is creating the relation between user and the group. Okay. So it, backend name of group is group, and for user it is user. And in which table it is creating a record, it is creating in sys user gr member. Okay. So we have to glide that particular record in order to create a new record in that particular table. So where user group so this is the table. So whenever we are creating a record, we have to tell the compiler that we are creating a new record. So for that, we will be having one function which is new record. Okay. Either we can use initialize or new record as a function. Okay. So we can use user group dot new record or user group dot initialize. That we have to tell the compiler that we are creating a new record, and then user group dot group is group sysID we have to pass, and user group dot user is user sysID. We have to insert it so that it will create new record. So we have to use user group dot insert function, which will be actually inserting a new record. Okay, let's check, run it and let's check it. So it has operation, it has done the operation of insert in sysuser gr member table. How many it has been created? It created one record. So let's go to the able tutor and check whether actually, so as of now, it has only 3 groups. User is part of 3 groups. If I refresh, he should be part of one more group, which is database as well. Let me check it. It has not, it is not created it. What is the issue? Let's check. Okay. So we can see that it has created the record, but it has not linked properly. Okay, let's check created. So the group has been passed properly, but user has not selected properly here. Okay, it created 1 minute ago. So whatever the sysid of the user it is getting, it is correct or not. Let's verify that as well. So able tutor sysid is this only, which is correct, and the backend name is user for the user. Okay, here instead of giving user group dot user, I have given group sysid dot user. So whatever the records we are inserting, it should it should append to user group only. Why? Because the glide record object is user group here. Okay, so user group dot group user group dot user. So I just copied it. So it was group sysid dot user. So that's why it didn't take that particular value properly. Okay, so now it should work actually. Now also it created new record, but actually it linked it properly or not. Let's check now. So it linked database here properly. Okay, so that's how we can write multiple glide records and multiple like insert and getting the values, all those. Okay, any doubts in this?
Sunil, we have declared that user group dot new record and user group dot insert, right? So what will be stored in that new record and the insert? Like, will it be sysids or if you want to print, what it will be showing?
So you want me to open that particular record which has been created and what it is storing, you want to see, right?
No. On the script level itself, we have declared user group dot new record, right?
User group dot group. Yes.
New record, just
Yeah,
above that.
yeah.
So normally at that moment, user group dot new record, will it have a sysid? Will it be returning a sysid or what it will be there?
So until like this SID, it won't generate. So this particular user group, it will be first getting the glide record object of this particular table in order to get all the functions and all the operations which we need to do. So this particular function new record, which is there, so there will be few default values and there will be some values which will be there, right? So whenever we click on new, we will be getting all the default values as well. Generally, in any record, if you click on new, we will be getting some default values as well. For example, I'll show here. I'm clicking on new. Okay. I didn't give any values to impact lower urgency and for category inquiry. But those values automatically came. Why? Because those are default values. So similarly, if you give the new records, all the default values on this particular record, this particular table, it will be assigning to those particular fields. Okay, with the code. So here we are clicking on new so that it knows that it's a new record and it has to take all those values. But here from the code, how we can tell that it's a new record initially itself. Okay, before inserting itself, if we can tell that it's a new record, it will be good. Even if we don't tell like it's a new record, it will be inserting at the end. But it's a good practice to tell that it's a new record so that all the default values which are all there, it will be taking it. Otherwise, while at the time of insertion, it has to retrieve all the default values and insert all those values as well.
Okay, so like normally, can we declare a variable for user group dot new record and try printing it? Is it possible? Will we get any output?
So this user group dot new record doesn't retrieve values, but let me show you. For example, let me open it. For example, let me open new glad here, and I'm saying where inc equals to new glad record of incident. Okay, and as of now, a new record has some category. Okay, so if I just type gs.info inc.category, let's check if it returns something or not. It is not returning anything. Now what I'll do, I'll be telling nc.new record, and let's check whether it is returning something or not. It is returning inquiry.
Yes.
Why? Because we are telling that it's a new record to it.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Okay.
like we know that it's a new record, we will be clicking on new, but we have to tell the system that it is a new record, so that it will take the default values, all those default values it will take. Even if it don't give it as a new record, still it will be working, but it has to do little bit more processing while it's actually inserting the record.
Okay.
Okay.
So now is that Sunil, you said new record will have a empty form with all the categories and everything.
Yes.
So just an approach. Let me know if it is possible or not. So can I push directly the values? Like now you have declared, you have printed inc.category, gs.info inc.category. Then it displayed inquiry hyphen help, right? In the same matter, can I print, can I push like inc.category is equal to some value?
Yeah, I can update the value. I can say inc.category is, for example, I want to change the value to software or hardware. You can just say, instead of inquiry, I want to, like, that is the default value. Still, we can change the values. Okay, so if you, so after changing the value, if you print it, it will be software. Okay, obviously it will be software because we are inserting software. As of now, I'm not inserting anything, but this inc.category will be holding software itself if you change the value.
Okay.
Like if you insert, it will insert software itself.
So in the previous scenario, we have glided into the group member table, right? So like listed out, we already know the group names. So can we not directly push the values like, as you did user group is equal to groups, you said instead of that, with the field names itself, can I push able tutor or a database?
So you are saying without gliding and getting the sysadis, you want to push it directly, right?
Yes, directly, because we already know the usernames, able that tutor or database.
So I guess like you are saying username is able to utilize it.
Yes. Is it possible like that or not? I just wanted to know.
While inserting, I guess it won't be possible, but let's check if it's possible. Let me get another group. For example, this is the group name. I'm directly giving the group name and user ID. Let's check. it has inserted some value, but let's see. Here I'm not getting any value. While getting the values, dart walking will work, but while updating and inserting, it won't work actually. So it inserted empty. Okay.
Okay.
So while getting the values, we can, while querying or getting the values, we can use dot walk, but while inserting, it won't go and get that value directly. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I have glided all these in order to get that particular value.
Okay.
So for reference fields, you have to pass the SysID. And we have one more function. If we like set display value, we can use that. For example, user group dot and for user so it has to has display value. Okay. So if you have the display value of that particular table, we can use it set display value and then
Sunil, I guess you need to provide the field name also, right? Is it not required?
didn't I give? Okay, I didn't give. Okay, group dot. Yeah. So let's check now. So now it has inserted.
Oh,
If we give the display value, as we don't have like we have user ID, there can be multiple users with the same name, but user ID will be different. So we can't use this. Like we might not know. Like if we have the user names like display values, then we can directly use this set display value. Okay. How I have used set display value, it will automatically take the SysID based on this value. Okay, but they, for example, with able tutor same name, we have multiple users. Okay,
okay.
name is not unique always. That's why we have to get the SysID by doing proper, by using proper conditions and all. Okay.
Okay.
Any other doubts? So if I use able.tutor, it won't work because display value of user table is not the user ID, it's name. That's why I have given able space tutor. Okay. Any other doubts?
No, Sunil.
Okay, thank you. We will continue this GlideRecord tomorrow. Okay.